Jaguars were an early out in the playoff hunt this season, and now they look to the spoiler role as the Green Bay Packers head into Jacksonville, needing a win to keep their playoff hopes alive. And we are live from Jacksonville, Florida. The Green Bay Packers taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we've got it for you right here on Fox. And welcome to the booth, everyone. I'm Ron Pitts. The Green Bay Packers are 5-8, but they are in an unbelievable tailspin. They have lost 5 of the last 6, including the last 3 straight. If they are going to make the playoffs, they must win here today against Jacksonville and get an awful lot of help. And I bring in my partner, Tony Baselli, a man who's got the best-looking cufflinks in the NFL. That's another story. We'll get to that later. But, Tony, we talked about Green Bay. High expectations for this team coming into the season. Went to the NFC Championship game last year, but they have definitely fallen short.
Yeah, it's been a disappointment. I think you would think, oh, it must have been the decision to let Brett Favre go and bring in Aaron Rodgers. But that's not the case. If you watch the film, Aaron Rodgers is playing good quarterback. He's one of the highest-rated quarterbacks in the league. And Mike McCarthy told us this week, hey, listen, that guy's been productive. We're getting what we want out of him. I think it's the defensive side of the ball, Ron. Last week, they couldn't stop anybody, and that's been the story this year. 549 yards against Houston, and they've really struggled. They can't stop the run, can't stop the pass. It's a problem. I think that's the biggest difference from last year.
Meanwhile, Jacksonville, they're 4-9. They are out of the playoffs, kind of the same boat as Green Bay in the sense that a lot of expectations in the beginning of the season. They had a nice playoff run last year, but they have not lived up to the billing this year, and for them it started early.
Yeah, the nightmare for this team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, started opening day. They lost their 2 guards.
Right.
And you say, what's the big deal? It's only guards. Now, as an offensive lineman, that hurts, but the reality is this team wanted to run the ball. They wanted to be physical. That was their bread and butter, and they can't do it now. And on top of that, it's bad when the head coach this week, Jack Del Rio, says the passing game is inept. Yeah. But the one guy who has not been inept this year is Maurice Jones-Drew, and he's going to get a lot of playing time today because Fred Taylor, maybe a future Hall of Famer, has hurt his thumb. He's on IR. Watch for Maurice Jones-Drew to be big today.
Right now it's time for our BlackBerry Manage the Game. BlackBerry, manage the game, manage your life.
And let's stay with Maurice Jones-Drew. The Green Bay Packers have to stop him. He's the best player on the field for the Jaguars. For the Green Bay Packers, it's stay on the field. What I mean by that, convert third downs. Last week, they were only 1 for 10. For the Jaguars on defense, Derek Harvey and the rest of his mates, they either have to blitz them or get after Aaron Rodgers. They got to create pressure. And then on the other side of the ball, keep Garrard clean. It's something they haven't done all year. He's been sacked and hit way too much.
Kickoff coming up next. The Packers and the Jaguars right here on Fox.
Fox Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Jacksonville Municipal Stadium here in Jacksonville, Florida. Ron Pitts, Tony Baselli. Let's go down to the third member of our crew standing by on the sidelines, Carissa Thompson. Carissa, how you doing?
I'm doing well, you guys. And you know what? Aaron Rodgers isn't sugarcoating his disappointment with the Packers' 5-8 record. He says when the Packers lose, he loses sleep. One night, sometimes 2. He just keeps replaying those mistakes over and over in his head. And I asked him before the game, with the roller coaster season that he and his team has had, what's the biggest lesson he's learned? And he said, you know what, Carissa? Just to move on. And that's exactly what Coach McCarthy and the Packers did by making Aaron Rodgers their quarterback. And as you guys reiterated, Coach McCarthy is happy with that decision and has no problem with the performance of quarterback Aaron Rodgers this season.
All right, Carissa, thank you very much, but they need all of that to turn into wins.
They do, and Aaron Rodgers is playing well, but I love his attitude. He said, listen, obviously it's not good enough. I got to play better. I'm going to continue to push myself and my teammates. But, Ron, if you watch him sit in the pocket, I mean, the guy looks like a guy who's played a lot more football than just this year. You got to remember, even though he's been in the league for a little bit, no playing time at all because Brett Favre played every snap. So I'm even a little bit surprised how well he's played this year.
So Mason Crosby will get us going. There's a look at Brian Witherspoon back deep for the Jaguars. And we're underway here in Jacksonville. Beautiful day, temperature in the 60s. Short kick. Witherspoon on the run. Takes a shot at the 20, spins out of that nicely, and across the 25-yard line. And the Jacksonville Jaguars season, we talked about the disappointments. It started off 3-3, not as they expected. But after the bye week, Mike Peterson and Jack Del Rio got into a little bit of a flap And Tony, that kind of set the tone for the rest of the season, if you will. Matt Jones suspended this week for violating the NFL's substance abuse policy, and the Jaguars have lost 6 of their last 7 games. And as I said earlier, officially out of the playoffs. There's a quick throw and a quick reception. Reggie Williams, with only 30 catches coming into today's game, he'll start it off with 13 yards and a first. Up front, David Garrard, he's been solid, 74 yards away from 3,000 career yards passing. Dennis Northcutt will get the start at wide receiver for the injured Jerry Porter. You won't see Fred Taylor. Fred Taylor has been put on the injured reserve list. He is gone for the season with torn ligaments in his thumb. 1st and 10, ball at the 40-yard line. End around, Northcutt. Northcutt getting his first start this year, and a nice gain on a first down. That's at least 8 or 9. Al Harris came up for the tackle. They'll call it 9 officially. The Green Bay Packer defense, they are struggling against the run. That play may be a bit of an indication there. Ranked 27th overall. The injury at middle linebacker, Nick Barnett, he's been out for a while. They put A.J. Hawk inside. Brandon Chiller didn't play last week against the Houston Texans. You'll see him back outside at outside linebacker. The secondary, they've made some plays, but they've also given up some big plays. Torched last week by Matt Schaub and the Texans. Jones Drew fighting for the first down. Let's see how they mark it. It looked as though he was just shy. Charles Woodson, who is now the strong safety with his 3rd start at strong safety in place of the injured Atari Bigby, comes up for the tackle. No yards on the play, Tony.
Ron, I think you're right. They need to get to 50 to get there, just short. Watch Maurice Jones-Drew, the effort he gives. He's not the biggest guy, you know, only 5'7", right around 210 pounds, but very difficult. You and I watched film and talked about how usually it's not the first guy that brings him down to the ground.
Third and short. Drew, again, you're not going to stop that one. And Jones-Drew pounds through for the first down. Only the 2nd career start today for Jones-Drew, and he gets the Jaguars first down.
Yeah, you said they're not going to stop that. If you're going to stop Maurice Jones-Drew, you better do it early before he gets going, and you better go low. You watch every week guys try to tackle this guy around the shoulders, and he just throws them off. One of the more powerful runners for a guy who's smaller in stature, and right now they're going to split him outside. He's a good receiver as well.
Leading rusher, 2nd on the team in receiving. 3rd-year man out of UCLA. 1st and 10 pass. Garrard across the middle, and that's knocked away. Nice job there by Brandon Chiller.
And that was a good job by Brandon Chiller, but that's the matchup they want. Talking to Dirk Cutter, he says, listen, we feel like it's our advantage if we can get Maurice Jones-Drew and one of their linebackers. And another matchup to look for is Mercedes Lewis, their tight end. They want to get a safety and get the size mismatch. They don't know if the matchups outside are the best for them. These corners for the Packers, Al Harris, Tramon Williams, very good at press and not the strength of the Jaguars.
Tony, do you realize how many UCLA guys you've already talked about?
Yeah, I'm very uncomfortable about that.
2nd down and 10. Garrard looking in trouble. He's out of the pocket. He'll do this by himself, and he'll get the first down. Al Harris with the tackle, and Tony, that's something that David Garrard told us the other day. He was going to take matters more into his own hands, so to speak.
Well, he needed to be a little bit more instinctive. He's looked uncomfortable in the pocket the last several weeks. He's been hit a ton. I think it's affected his confidence, and I think his thought is, I just need to go play football and relax and take what they give me. And right there, the Green Bay Packers defense gave him the whole left side of the field, and he took advantage of it.
First down for Jacksonville. They've got a nice drive going, entering the Packers' red area. Drew, straight into the pile. Johnny Jolly is there.
You know, Ron, talking about David Garrard, this guy, and we mentioned his confidence, he's been hit a ton, almost 23 times more than the next closest quarterback, Kurt Warner. And you talk to the coaches, they think it's affected him. It's affected his confidence. Now, that's not the strength of the Packers. They struggle getting pressure on the quarterback. Really struggled last week against Matt Schaub. So it'd be interesting if this is the game David Garrard get back in a rhythm. If I'm the Packers, though, I blitz him and try to keep him uncomfortable.
2nd down and 9. Drew. Jones-Drew has it. He'll be a few yards shy of the first, a pickup of 7. A.J. Hawk on the tackle. The Green Bay Packers, as we've mentioned, they need to win to stay in the playoff hunt. They lost at home to Houston last week on a last-second field goal, 24-21, and I think the Texans came down and surprised them, or came up there and surprised them by throwing that football around in the 6-degree temperature.
Not throwing it, they ran the ball. Slayton had 120 yards.
Third down and short. That's the toss. Chauncey Washington, that's the rookie out of USC. And Washington with a nice spin move. He ad-libs, and he pushes forward for the first down.
And now at least I can talk about one of my SC guys. And watch this. This is an old toss crack play, and they're going to pull Cleve Barnes, and just it's a pitch play outside. Chauncey Washington does a good job of being patient and allowing Cleve Barnes to set his block up. You can see Brad Meester as well. And Cleve missed the guy. Al Harris, one of the better cover corner guys, does a good job of getting underneath as a corner's supposed to, but not enough to stop Chauncey Washington.
Jaguars 6 runs, 3 passes on this drive. First down throw. Garrard will do it by himself. And he's chopped down by Papinga, but a marker goes down. The first call of the day by our referee, Jerome Boger.
Offense, number 62. 10-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
That's holding on Dennis Norman, the right guard.
And that's what's been plaguing the Jaguars this year, just mistakes. That's the 20th holding penalty in the NFL, second only to the Green Bay Packers. But it seems like, really talking about, if you talk about both these teams, they get in a rhythm, they start doing something good, and they shoot themselves in the foot too often.
Jaguars guaranteed to their first losing season since 2003. That was Jack Del Rio's first year as head coach. As you recall, the Jaguars with a nice year last year, finishing 11-5, earned a wild card spot, beat Pittsburgh in the first round. The throw inside, and it's incomplete. Intended for Northcutt, but Al Harris is there.
And I think that's the massive matchup that favors the Packers, trying to get something going against the corners for the Jaguars. It's going to be tough. Northcutt runs a nice post pattern here, and he's open. But a lot of times I wonder if quarterbacks, when they know that a matchup doesn't suit them, doesn't favor them, if they're a little bit hesitant to go even where the guy is open and deliver the ball correctly. And you can see right there, there was open space. Garrard just missed it.
Second and long. Draw. Jones-Drew. He'll have to get out of some traffic, and he can't do it. Nice plug in the middle there. A.J. Hawk. Pickup of 1.
And Aaron Camp, known for his pass rushing ability, but does a good job against Mercedes Lewis of standing up and really creating a bubble there, knocking the guard off. Uche Winari tries to get outside, and a stalemate a lot of times in that situation is good if you're a defensive end. Create a pile, but Aaron Campman went one further, got off and made the tackle.
Third and long for Jacksonville. We'll call it 19. Pressure around the corner. They block it. There's a throw wide open. Northcutt. Touchdown, Jacksonville. .30 yards. Garrard to Northcutt. The first touchdown of the season for Dennis Northcutt.
It's the double move. Watch him stutter. That's Will Blackman that bites on the stutter. Great route. Talking to Dirk Cutter, he thought Dennis Northcutt was their best pass route runner. Real true pro, getting time with the suspension of Matt Jones to get more playing time, and he's taking advantage of it.
Scobie adds another one, and the Jaguars, with a perfect drive of 12 plays, they go down and strike first blood. 7-0 Jacksonville early here in the first quarter. And Green Bay's defensive backs last week gave up 414 yards passing. That's the most since 2006. And obviously the Jaguars saw that film, Tony.
Well, and we can't see him, but that's Charles Woodson sitting on the bench. He's moved from corner to safety. Usually he'd be in the nickel at that corner position. Instead it's Will Blackman, and the Jaguars took advantage of it.
Blackman took one back all the way last week, 99 yards, but it was called back because of the penalty, and we've got another penalty here. A good return, though, by Blackman.
During the return, holding, number 37, receiving team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's on Aaron Rouse, another holding penalty. A holding penalty wiped out the 99-yarder last week up in Green Bay. 7-0 Jacksonville. The Packers with 7.3 penalties per game on average. That's second most in the NFL. And they lead the NFL in total penalty yardage. They're backed up first play of the game. There's a swing pass outside to Ryan Grant. Now the Packers can still make the playoffs, but they've got to take care of business. They must win the remaining games. Then they need Chicago and Minnesota to lose their remaining games. Now they can help themselves by beating Chicago next week, assuming they get a win here. If they end up in a tie in that scenario with Minnesota, they've split with Minnesota, they would get the nod because of the better division record. They cannot get in as a wild card because of their record. That's Grant, and Grant is taken down in the backfield. That's a loss. Rob Meyer with the tackle, loss of 5.
So, Ron, basically what you're telling me, they need to win every game, and they need a ton of help.
That's it.
I mean, that's the basic.
Right. That's basically it.
I mean, they don't control their own destiny at all.
No.
So if you're a Packer fan, you better be rooting for whoever's playing the Vikings and whoever's playing the Bears, and hope your team can get off a 3-game losing streak.
3rd down and 10. Packers pretty solid in 3rd down, but not the case last week. They only converted 1 3rd down. No place for Rodgers. Launches one. Wide open. That's James Jones, the second-year man out of San Jose State, and he gets Green Bay out of trouble. 46 yards and a first down as the ball is on the other side of the 50.
And Ron, you can see Aaron Rodgers buy in time. Good protection, finds a little seam and steps up, always looking to throw. And we talked about it. We thought this was the advantage the Packers had. Their receivers against the Jaguars secondary, and Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball wide open. James Jones down the field.
1st and 10, ball at the Jaguar 37-yard line. Grant looking to turn the corner. He's got the speed to do it. Nice gain there on 1st down. Let's go out to Los Angeles, the first update of the day. Here's Kurt Menefee.
All right, San Francisco at Miami. Chad Pennington is hooking up with the former Packer tight end David Martin. Nice catch on the touchdown reception of 61 yards. And the Dolphins lead the Niners 7-0 early in the first. Back to Ron, Tony, and Carissa.
And a quick look at the AFC wild card picture. The Colts, along with the Ravens, in control of that. Miami, along with 3 others, in the hunt.
How about Miami, 1-15 last year, now fighting for the playoffs.
A pickup of 6 on the run by Grant. Throw inside, contact early. No markers come down. Williams, Brian Williams, collided with James Jones. Both are looking at the ball. No infraction.
Boy, they got away with one, I think, Ron. From up here, it looked like Brian Williams was early. And clearly, I mean, going for a spot and fighting for it, but you can't go through the receiver to do it. I think that should have been a flag.
That's a great point, Tony. That's the one exception. You cannot go through a man, play through a man, in order to get the football.
And he went through him.
Looked like he did there. 3rd and 4. Fake to Jackson, quick throw, and that's a Packer first down. A pickup of 8 yards, Donald Driver.
And Ron, you can see that, and Aaron Rodgers confirmed this, that they are very poor early. They start slow, and he didn't know why. And you can see one of the worst teams only scoring 44 points in the first quarter. Now they finished strong, the best in the 4th quarter. But he said, listen, it's important for us to get out and get in the rhythm and get going quick.
Driver now his 108th consecutive game with a reception, extending his team record. Quick screen. Grant eludes one. Grant works inside the 10-yard line, and another Packer first down. Finally brought down by Drayton Florence.
Great job of setting up. Good play calling by Coach Mike McCarthy. They've been killing him in the pass early and sets up the screen, gets out, and good job by Scott Wells getting enough of the defender and creating a little bit of a seam. And hey, listen, first down play, you run a screen and get a first down. It's what you want as a play caller. Good efficiency.
Ball spotted at about the 8-yard line. Grant thought he had a hole for a second and then met a brick wall. That was the middle linebacker, Darrell Smith. Grant picks up 3. The Packers in the red zone solid this year, coming in rated 4th in the NFL with a touchdown percentage of 63%, 38 trips in, 24 touchdowns.
I mean, I know Aaron Rodgers was critical of himself, thinks he needs to play better, but watching tape and watching this guy, I think he's had a tremendous year, and the numbers prove it.
Rodgers 4 of 5 for 74 yards already. Grant alone in the backfield, going up for the fade, and it's incomplete. Intended for the rookie Jermichael Finley, but well covered.
Well, they went after Drayton Florence and thought they could just get a jump ball. The rookie much bigger. Drayton Florence only 5'11", try to get it up there, get it at its highest point. But Drayton did a good job. You know, he's one of the guys they brought in, a high-priced free agent, and hasn't performed up to what they thought. But last week, the coaches said was his best game.
Brought in as a free agent from San Diego. 3rd and goal. Jordy Nelson at the bottom of your screen. He's been big lately. Check down throw Jackson. He'll have to do a lot of work, and he'll be about 3 yards shy of the goal line. 4th down, decision time. Not much of a decision. No, McCarthy sends in the field goal unit.
Not this early. I mean, come out. You just had a really nice drive.
You don't want to ruin the drive,
absolutely.
Right.
You were backed up after the penalty. Had a big 3rd down, the big completion. You got in a nice rhythm and reward your offense. I mean, nothing wrong with taking 3 points on your opening drive in a football game. Don't try to go for too much right now and completely give all the momentum to Jacksonville.
So this will be Crosby from 22 yards out. Should be a chip shot. It is. No wind down here today. So Green Bay answers with the drive, 11-play drive, 79 yards, and they get 3 points. Aaron Rodgers talking things over there with Packers quarterback coach Tom Clements. And Aaron Rodgers' numbers very solid coming into this game. 8th rated passer in the NFL. And that follows along with what Mike McCarthy has talked about. He is happy with the way Rodgers has performed this season.
He had 104 quarterback rating last week and got graded as a minus. Talk about high expectations in Green Bay. I guess that's what happens when Brett Favre's been there that long, but I think he's living up to all the expectations so far.
Witherspoon with a gash. Can't quite get through there. Had a big hole. And Witherspoon still on the ground, slow to get up. Desmond Bishop hustling down for the tackle. Well, next week on Fox, we've got great doubleheader action. The Arizona Cardinals, the NFC West Division champions, taking on the New England Patriots. Game 2. The Falcons going up against the Minnesota Vikings with definite NFC North implications. It all starts with the Built Ford Tough Fox pregame show starting at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
I think it got a little tougher with Gus Frerotte out and Tavares Jackson
so.
in.
Minnesota coming up a little later on today out in Arizona. 1st and 10 throw, and that's complete. That's Richard Angulo, the 3rd string tight end, with a nice pickup. And there's a look at Minnesota's playoff scenario. First of all, win 2 of the next 3, win 1 of the next 3 plus a Chicago loss.
They're the one team in that division that controls their own destiny. If they take care of business, the Minnesota Vikings, they're going to go to the playoffs.
And as we said earlier, the best Green Bay can hope for is to win out and hope Chicago and Minnesota both lose the rest of their games. Flag Jaguars keep it on the ground. That's Jones-Drew.
Nice hard count by David Garrard that drew him off sides.
Offside, defense, number 96. 5-yard penalty, resulting in a first down.
That one going up against Michael Montgomery. Let's listen in to the hard count. Yeah, that would have got me.
Yeah, he scared everybody. You can hear it up here in the booth.
Montgomery takes a breather. Montgomery placing Cullen Jenkins, who a lot of people feel that the Packers' best pass rusher, along with Campman. They haven't had the same pass rush without Jenkins. There's a throw and a catch. That's Greg Estandia. A lot of tight ends on this Jaguar team. Tony, I counted 4 on the roster. And they seem to get them all in the mix at some point or another.
We'll expect to see a lot of them today, especially because Greg Jones, the fullback that this team really, Jack Del Rio loves, is out on IR with an ankle. So Dirk Cutter told us, hey, listen, we're going to go a lot of one back, multiple tight end sets, see some empty. We've just seen that, something we haven't seen a lot this year. And so you're going to see a lot of different formations using those tight ends.
2nd down and 4. Play action to Drew. No pressure whatsoever on Garrard, and he completes another one. That one again to Estandia. And Tony, that's something that I saw last week on the tape. You saw it as well. We know that the Green Bay secondary got torched by Shaw, but there was no pressure on Matt Schaub either.
Yeah, I don't care who you have out there covering. You can have a group of Hall of Famers at every position. If that defensive line does not affect the quarterback sometime during the game, NFL quarterbacks are too good. They're going to tear you apart. It happened last week, and now David Garrard's doing it today. He's being very precise, getting everybody involved, and really eating them up in the secondary.
Estandia with 2 catches already. He only had 5 coming into today's game. Jones-Drew going backwards and spins out of it. Takes on Woodson. Doesn't get much more after that. But a nice second effort just to get something, and that is the end of the first quarter. Jacksonville out early, 7-3 over the Green Bay Packers. Fox NFL Sunday continues after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. David Garrard with that second pass completion to Greg Estandia just went over the 3,000-yard mark.
And this passing game is looking anything but inept so far in the first quarter. I think a lot of that has to do with what you said. He has all day back to the throw.
First play of the second quarter, 2nd and 8. Jaguars up 7-3. 2 nice drives by both teams. Another completion almost in and out of the hands of Maurice Jones-Drew. And Tony, we talk about David Garrard and having so much time, but one thing Garrard has not had this year, the play from the receiving corps.
Yeah, they have troubles beating guys. And we're seeing a different receiving corps in here now because Jerry Porter's hurt. He's on the sideline with a groin. Matt Jones has been suspended by the league. And so now you're seeing Dennis Northcutt, Mike Walker, Reggie Williams. And I think this group is more explosive than their starters are.
You don't see a lot of speed on the field from the Jaguars wide receiving crew. This crew a little bit different. On 3rd down, the throw outside looks to be just shy of the first down. That's Troy Williamson, brought down this year in a trade from Minnesota, known as a speed guy.
And Troy's lined up right here. He's going to push off and break out a little short. Actually goes past the first down, then coming back to the ball and does a good job of going up and getting it and getting both feet down. And he's a guy that can scare people. You talk about the lack of speed, and they look very slow as we watch tape, the receiving position. But this guy is not slow. He can fly. And he will put a little bit of fear in the corners for the Green Bay Packers. We can see they're just short right there. And this is where, if I'm a betting man, Jack Del Rio is going for it. He goes for it on 4th down as much as anybody in the NFL. And he feels like, listen, we better. His mentality is, you know, tough defense, physical running. We better go for it and be able to get a couple inches. 9th in the NFL this year. He was in top 5 last year of going for it on 4th down.
So 4th in inches, the Jaguars will go for it. Hey, you're 4-9. You're out of the playoff mix. What have you got to lose? We said they'd play the spoiler roll down here.
And you can see where the spot's going to be, and they give him the forward progress. As he catches the ball in the air, they give him some forward progress. That's why they moved it up. Now Mike McCarthy is going to challenge that.
Well, he's challenging whether or not he got 2 feet down in bounds. I saw 1 foot come down in bounds. And the rules have changed with force outs this year.
The Green Bay coaching staff challenges the rule on the field of a completed catch.
And if they hold up to the rule, that's not a catch. He only had 1 foot in bounds.
What if you could give your family just what they want this holiday for one low price?
So we are in challenge mode right now. Mike McCarthy threw out the red flag. He's challenging whether or not that's a completed catch. And for us, going to break, it looked like Williams only got 1 foot in.
Is an incomplete pass. The receiver did not get both feet down in bounds. Will now play 4th down from the 33-yard line. Green Bay will not be charged a team timeout.
All right, so a good call there.
And the key is there's no force out rule any longer. The old rule said if a defender forced out the receiver, but the official who was subjective thought that he would get 2 feet down with no contact, it would be ruled a catch. They did away with that. And a great job by Tramon Williams of finishing the play and driving through Troy Williams and not allowing him to get that 2nd foot down.
So that pushes the ball back. Now Jacksonville changes their tune a little bit. They will go for a field goal. This will be 51 yards out.
We saw him practice at 53 in pregame, had plenty of leg.
Scobie 4 for 4 from this distance. That one is no good. Hits the upright. And he hit the upright in pregame warm-up too. You practice like you play. 7-3 Jacksonville. So Josh Scobie with his first miss of the season from 50 yards out. We mentioned he was 4 for 4 from that distance. Tony, you remarked he had the distance to probably go from 61 yards. He hit so high on the crossbar, hit that same crossbar in pregame warmup. Packers take over. Grant loses the football. There's a scramble for the ball at the 45-yard line. He went helmet to helmet. The official pointing Green Bay retains possession.
Ron, I think that was Reggie Nelson who came full speed without breaking stride and just came in there, like you said, helmet to helmet. Let's listen. That's a violent hit. No wonder the ball was bouncing around after a hit like that.
Grant 12 yards away from going over the 1,000-yard rushing mark. There's a long out pattern. That's complete to Greg Jennings. Now for an update on the Atlanta Falcons. Let's go out to Kurt Menefee.
Well, that Bucs defense gave up 300 yards rushing to Carolina Monday night. Not any better today. Michael Turner takes it in from yard out. He's got 10 carries, 43 yards through a quarter. Atlanta's got a 10-0 lead. Ron and Tony.
And Tampa Bay without Jeff Garcia today. Reese will get the start. That could be huge because Tampa Bay, one of the teams involved in the wild card spot in the hunt.
And Atlanta's right there as well. Another surprise team like Miami in the AFC.
NFC South. Kind of a surprise division this year. Backward toss there to Ryan Grant. A pickup of 1. Gerald Sensabaugh coming down for the tackle.
And that's a guy that you just mentioned, Gerald Sensabaugh, that the coaching staff's really high on. He's starting to, start a little bit slow, but with the injuries to Rasheem Mathis, now he's back there starting at safety, is really playing at a high level, has 4 interceptions and making a lot of big plays for the squad.
2nd down and 9. Draw to Grant. Grant with a huge hole. Ryan Grant, very short, very close to the 1st down. Looks as though he's just shy of it. Grant, one of those powerful downhill runners. If you give him a lane, like so many backs in the NFL, he will make you pay.
Ron, you can see only 6 guys in the box right now, and Aaron Rodgers audible to the run. You can see him talking and communicating. They liked the matchup. They had a guy for a guy, and you could see the big gaping hole. No one touches Ryan Grant until he gets into the secondary.
You won't see a lot of yards after contact from Grant, but you will see him run through holes and get that speed going. 1st and 10 pass. Rodgers in trouble. Gets away from one, throws incomplete. Greg Jennings couldn't hold on. A marker is down at the 39-yard line. Pressure by Reggie Hayward.
Aaron Rodgers took a shot late on the sideline.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense, number 51. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
That's Clint Ingram, the 3rd-year man out of Oklahoma, with the roughing the passer.
Ron, you defenders just never learn. If you hit these quarterbacks late, they're going to flag you if it's even questionable. And that one,
he went low.
Wasn't even close. It was a double doozy. He took multiple steps and went low. They're going to throw that flag. I'm surprised they didn't throw 2 flags at him for that infraction.
First down after the penalty. Bootleg, a man is there. Rodgers in trouble. And then he just throws it away.
He was chased right there by Derek Harvey, and Derek Harvey's our game within the game. He's the rookie out of Florida that the Jaguars traded up to the 8th pick to get. And it started really slow, but he's starting to come on as late. He has a tough matchup today against Chad Clifton, and one of the more veteran offensive tackles. It will be a good test. You can see so far not doing much, but did a good job of hustling and made a smart play of not learning from the mistake of his teammate and not taking a late shot.
Right. 2nd down and 10. Jennings at the bottom of your screen. Lee in the slot. They'll put it on the ground. Grant off tackle. Grant trying to get out of the gate. You can see the speed almost there. But a nice play between Drayton Florence and Darryl Smith.
And they're going to go right at the rookie, Derek Harvey. You'd think he's known more for a pass rusher, but the coaches say he can play the run really well and takes on the double team well. If you're facing a double team, as long as you don't get pushed back and create a big gap or a big lane, you're doing your job. Create a pile and let everyone else fill in.
The 8th overall pick out of Florida, coming into today's game with only 1.5 sacks. But he is starting to play better. As my partner Tony Baselli has already mentioned. 3rd down and 9 and a timeout called by Green Bay. Crucial 3rd down for Green Bay, trying to get into the end zone. We mentioned Aaron Rodgers coming in rated 8th in the NFL in terms of passing. Brett Favre at number 13. Just thought I'd throw that in there for Packer fans. Thought they might want to know that.
Just a little FYI.
Yeah. Goes along with that BFF, LOL stuff that the guys were talking about in the pregame, whatever. 3rd and 9. Back shoulder throw and an easy catch and an easy first down for Greg Jennings, the team's leading receiver.
Greg Jennings was so open he could have thrown it to either shoulder. You usually see the back shoulder throw when a guy's coverage, and you can. He's just off there. The Jaguars are man coverage, and Brian Williams doesn't run underneath and get underneath into the flat underneath the route, and a pretty easy pitch and catch for the Green Bay Packers.
Jennings having a Pro Bowl year, 66 catches coming into today's game. Packers go back to the run game. That's Ryan Grant, a pick up of 3.
And he's ended up having a pretty nice year, getting over 1,000 yards.
Yep, on that run right there, going over 1,000.
Right on that, right on key, getting over 1,000 yards after starting slow. A lot of injuries, held out in the offseason, got the contract finally the way he wanted to, but it took some time for him to get into a groove, and I think that affected maybe a little bit of the, I don't want to say the chemistry, but just getting this offense in sync and this team in sync.
Empty backfield for Rodgers. 2nd and 6. Rodgers quarterback draw. He gets inside the 5. I don't know that was as wide open as maybe he thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I don't like that call. We showed a graphic earlier that he 14 of 22 red zone touchdowns. This guy's really good. He doesn't make mistakes in the red zone, and then to run that draw. I mean, if it works, I guess everyone's saying great job, great call, but boy, took a pretty big hit by Rob Meyer as well.
And Rodgers has been solid on third down, especially in the touchdown pass department. This is a 3rd and 3. Both tight ends in the backfield with him. Going for the backdoor fade. Touchdown, Jennings. A marker goes down. He beat Drayton Florence, but let's check out the marker.
A little bit of contact. Looked like a little bit of a push-off by Greg Jennings.
Pass interference. Defense, number 21. The penalty decline. The result of the play is a touchdown.
That goes against Jacksonville, against Florence. The 6 points, good. Del Rio not happy about it.
And just watch the big circle around these two guys. You said it perfectly, Ron. It's a back shoulder throw. Watch the right arm of Greg Jennings with the push-off right there. It was very subtle, but with the hand fighting, I think that has to be almost a no call if guys are going to be pushing and shoving like that if you're going to call something. I don't think you can call something there.
So Rodgers stays true. 12 touchdown passes on third down. Beat Drayton Florence on that touchdown. And Tony, you're right. You brought up the point about the hand fighting there in the end.
Yeah, I don't think you can call that. Now, the one thing Drayton Florence did do, he grabbed a little bit of jersey. Now, if you would have called holding, I could understand that. But
right.
Pass interference, both guys were pushing and shoving, which you see a lot in the end zone.
Witherspoon at the goal line. And Witherspoon pours it up to about the 28-yard line. So the Packers take the lead 10-7 here in Jacksonville.
Unstoppable.
Teams collide in a month-long battle to claim the NFL's ultimate prize. Don't miss the hard-hitting action as the NFL's postseason returns January 4th, right here on Fox in high definition. And we talk about some of the surprises. You got to start out west, the NFC West, the Arizona Cardinals taking control of that division, winning the division, and the NFC South, really with the exception of the Saints, and they've hung in there. All three teams playing very well. Green Bay trying to win this division, the NFC North. That's Maurice Jones-Drew. Let's go down to Carissa Thompson.
Well, guys, you gave all the scenarios that the Packers would have to happen in order for them to be playing in January. And I asked Aaron Rodgers before the game about the playoffs. He said, you know, all we can do is control winning these next 3 games. But I got to tell you, in watching this sideline, it ain't over till it's over. Charles Woodson clapping his hands saying, let's go, after that last Jennings-Rodgers touchdown. So they're still in this thing.
All right, Carissa, thank you. 6 yards by Drew. Quick throw outside to Estandia. Coverage by Tremont Williams.
And that's what you want to see. I mean, you know, long shot for the Packers to make the playoffs. Jaguars are out of it. But talking to both coaches, they said, listen, they expect their guys to play and play hard. Mike McCarthy says, listen, we need to fight. We need to fight our way out of this. And give these guys credit. I mean, they're playing like professionals. They're playing hard. They're playing physical. And that's what you should do. Charles Woodson, been around a long time. He realized, hey, listen, this is not over. We need to keep working.
First down on the catch by Estandia. Another wide open throw and a reception. That's Reggie Williams. Update time. Let's go out to Los Angeles. Here's Kurt Menefee.
And what a start for Houston wide receiver Andre Johnson against Tennessee. Matt Schaub hooks up with him for a 13-yard score. So far, Johnson 5 catches, 129 yards, and that's early in the second quarter. Houston trying to pull the upset. Rod and Tony.
Texans coming into today's game 6-7, and Packer fans know all too well that the Texans are surging right now.
I hope you started him on your fantasy team.
Jones-Drew trying to pick his points inside his second start of his career today in place of Fred Taylor. There's a look at the AFC playoff picture. Your division leaders, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Denver, the Jets, the wild card options with Indianapolis and Baltimore.
And that AFC East with Miami, the Jets, and New England, it's going to be crazy going on a stretch. All 3 teams playing well. They play each other. Miami, even though they're in the wild card, the only team that controls their own destiny. If they win out, they're in.
Well, how about Miami, though? 1-15 last year to make that kind of turnaround.
I give Tony Sparano a lot of credit. Bill Parcells as well, going in there and changing the atmosphere, changing the culture. And I think that gives hope. Them and the Atlanta Falcons with how they've turned it around under Mike Smith. I mean, both these franchises, the high expectations coming in this year for the Packers and the Jaguars. You can turn it around quick. Now you have to change, make some pretty decent overhauls, I think, especially if you're the Jaguars. But it can be done, and we've seen it this year.
3rd and short. David Garrard leading the NFL in 3rd and 1 rushing, and there you go. I got that out just in time.
He looks like a linebacker, and he told us he needed to lose he wanted to lose about 10 pounds.
He is a big guy now.
I mean, even if he loses 10 pounds like he talked about, that's his goal this offseason, come back a little bit lighter. I mean, right now you shake his hand and you meet with him as you sit down. You're going, you're a quarterback. I mean, it looks like if you wanted to, the old days, he'd be the guy who played quarterback, and then they line him over a Mike linebacker on defense.
Weighing in at 6'1", 245 pounds.
And every pounder.
But that's good for the first down. Jones-Drew with a cutback, slips under one, a marker goes down. And A.J. Hawk had a clean shot at him. Couldn't wrap him up. Johnny Jolly finally slows him down. Drew coming into today's game, 3rd in the AFC in scoring with 12 touchdowns. But they've hemmed my Bruin up.
Yeah, they've done a good job, and not a lot of room to run, but you can see the power that he has. And for a little guy, he finishes runs. He moves piles. And so size does not matter when you're talking about Maurice Jones-Drew. He plays bigger than his stature.
And he was very vocal this week, talking to him in the meetings. You know, this is where we're going to find out what we got around here. There's some guys that aren't on the train, some guys that have packed it in. He said, I want to know who's going to be ready to play now.
And he'll kick them off. He'll kick the guys off that don't want to play.
A hold on Jacksonville. They'll back it up. 1st and 20. Garrard, once again, plenty of time. And the tight ends are open all day long. We've already seen a Standia. That's Richard Angulo again. I believe he caught one earlier. And it's pitch and catch.
Well, that's the story of both these teams right now. Neither team is getting any pressure on the opposing quarterback. And you give these guys all day to sit back there, and David Garrard goes from one read to the next. Doesn't like this guy looking down the field. Oh, okay. I got my tight end just sitting here. I'll just kind of drop it off to him. And 118 passer rating. Aaron Rodgers is 129. I mean, pretty good numbers.
2nd and long. A little bit of pressure, but Garrard stands in. Throws knocked away. Nice job by Tramon Williams working on Dennis Northcutt.
And I think the key was a little bit of pressure. They're going to, come and running around the corner, trying to get his hand on is Jeremy Thompson. Just misses him. He gets back in and gets a late hit. But good job of keeping alive down the field. Tramon Williams, who really struggled last week against the Texans, but had a pick, but gave up a lot of yards to Kevin Walters as well. But right here does a good job of coming in and not interfering, not running through the receiver, going around him and knocking the ball down.
3rd and 14. This is where Green Bay needs the pressure. None at all. Long throw and a completion. No, dropped. Should have been caught. Dennis Northcutt in and out of his hands. And that'll bring up 4th down for Jacksonville.
Well, there was no pressure. Great job by the offensive line, who has struggled this year, but they do a good job. You see a good double team at the bottom of the field, and David Garrard scanning the field, throws a perfect ball on a little corner route to the sidelines to Dennis Northcutt. That's one you got to catch.
So Weatherford comes on for Jacksonville to punt away. First punt of the day. Blackman is back deep. Weatherford looking for a nice roll, doesn't get it, and it rolls into the end zone for a touchback. A late marker goes down, 53 yards on the punt by Weatherford. No flag, they picked it up. 10-7 Green Bay. A look at Green Bay Packer head coach Mike McCarthy in his 14th year. Or 14th Packer head coach, I should say.
He's not that old.
No, he's not that old, right. Although he probably feels like it this time of year.
This year, that's for sure.
Yeah, really. McCarthy in his 3rd year, and a 1st and 10 for his Packers. There's a little pressure there. Rob Meyer, as Rodgers has to throw it away. And a look at the offensive formations. We've talked about Green Bay being able to spread the ball around.
Well, and you watch tape. They use every personnel grouping you can imagine. Everything from no backs to, I mean, we haven't seen it yet, but I bet we will. We saw 3 backs in the backfield last week. I mean, they do so many different things. And Mike McCarthy likes to change things up and trying to keep Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator of the Jaguars, on his heels so he can't really dial in anything against his offense.
2nd down and 10. Middle of the field, wide open, Driver. And Driver with a Packer 1st down. 24 yards on the reception, and Donald Driver is fired up.
Oh, you said it perfectly. Wide open. They were in a 2-deep zone, and Donald Driver does a good job of finding the hole. No depth by the linebacker, so there's really a big void in the defense. And good protection. It let up a little bit late, but we're going to see Chad Clifton working against the rookie. Really shuts him down. Tony Mall, who's in, starting today because of the injury to Tauscher, the right knee. The ACL, gave up a late hit.
Mark Tauscher put on the injured reserve list this past week, gone for the year. That's Ryan Grant. Pick up a 4. And Donald Driver looking for his 5th straight 1,000-yard receiving season. Driver's just one of those guys, 430 career catches, just keeps on doing it.
And a guy, I mean, you don't hear a lot about these Green Bay receivers. I mean, you hear about all, you know, the T.O.s and the Chad Owens and all those guys. But Greg Jennings and Donald Driver, 2 of the best in the NFL.
2nd down and 6, Grant. Grant can't get away from Big John Henderson. Pickup of 3.
Yeah, not too many people get away. If you run into the grass with Big John Henderson, there's a reason they call him Big John. He's a mammoth of a man. He takes up multiple gaps. He's sitting in there, and Ryan Grant tries to get the cutback, couldn't get it, gets swallowed up.
And that's the 2-minute warning here in Jacksonville. Packers holding on to a 3-point lead. Third down coming up for Green Bay. Rodgers has been very solid on 3rd down today. 5 of 5, 70 yards and a touchdown. We already talked about how well he has performed throughout the year on 3rd down. Now 12 of 23 touchdown passes in 3rd down mode. 3rd and 4. Jaguars bringing pressure. They pick up the blitz. Going deep, wide open is Jones. Does he secure the catch in time? The official says yes. Remember, we are under 2 minutes. A challenge would have to come from the booth. And Jones looks like to be the injured man down there.
And you said it, Ron. They bring the blitz. Darryl Smith coming, the linebacker. And when you don't get home, when you bring more than just 4, your secondary is going to be stressed. And James Jones running wide open down the sidelines. Brian Witherspoon gets lost in coverage, gets caught looking back in the backfield, and lets James Jones go. And then a good throw, and he should have caught it. You know, and the question now is with the bobble, does he get both feet in and control the ball at the same time?
Reggie Nelson coming over to knock him out of bounds, but this play is being reviewed by the booth. Referee Jerome Boger just came on. I don't know if you could hear him. He said this play will be reviewed upstairs, so they are looking to see whether or not Jones had possession and got both feet in bounds and possessed the ball at the same time.
Ron, from that angle, I don't think he controls the ball, and once he gets control, because of the hustle of Reggie Nelson coming over there and driving him out of bounds, he never gets his left foot down. If he catches it clean the first time, it would be an easy catch.
Jones, a 2nd-year man out of San Jose State, third-round pick last year. We're going to take another look at it.
Yeah, watch the left foot. You can see the ball boy right there, never has it. You saw him peek a little bit over at Reggie Nelson. Right here, he gets it, contact, right foot down. The left foot is not on the ground, and because...
But more importantly, Tony, I don't know if he even has possession yet by the time he gets it.
And the left foot ends up getting down late again, but it's hard to tell if that ball is secure.
Right.
Now the question is, it was called a catch on the field, so there has to be conclusive evidence to overturn it.
Don't forget the Visa halftime report coming up. Kurt Menefee, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy will have the latest scores and highlights from around the NFL, plus the Fox Sports ticker with the up to the second stats. That's coming your way in about a minute and 51 seconds. Once again, we are in review mode, officials review mode, on the catch or no catch by Jones.
And the question is, once he secures it, does the left foot ever get down? The right foot's down there. Does he have it secured at this point? He brings it in. Left foot does get down at that point. You know what? That might be because he controls the ball to the ground.
But they have to feel like controlling their determination.
And that's the best look. At the first angle, you couldn't tell if the left foot gets down before he goes out. From that angle, clearly the left foot gets down. And it's just a question of whether he was bobbling it or had stopped bobbling it at that point.
So Jerome Boger finally taking the headsets off.
And he brought some guys over there. They can take notes now, making sure he has all the information.
Right.
Make sure they don't miss anything.
Here's the call.
After reviewing the play, he has completed a catch. The receiver bobbled the ball but got 2 feet down after the bobble and completed the catch. It will be first down, Green Bay.
And great job in looking at all the angles, because from the first angle it was hard to tell if he doesn't stop bobbling it. This is the best look. You can see the control right there, and good job by the official getting and making sure you're seeing every angle, because it's right here. It's difficult to see if he ever gets it down.
And you know, Tony, that's tough because, as we know, they have to have clearly conclusive visual evidence to overturn a call on the field. And Jack Del Rio, you know, he's
debating it still, but I think it's going on deaf ears.
Let's go down to Carissa Thompson.
Well, James Jones is going to feel a little bit better after that call. He got the wind knocked out of him, you guys, but he keeps pointing to the back left of his back on the left-hand side there. He seems to be okay. He's stretching, working it out on both sides, but again, just got the wind knocked out of him initially, but seems to be okay. And
there's really nothing Del Rio can do about it. You're under 2 minutes. Any challenges have to come from upstairs anyway, so
he can yell at him.
He can yell at him. That goes a long way, right?
At least he'll make himself feel better. But it's not going to change anything.
Oh, no, it's first and goal, Green Bay. The Packers with a chance to score here going in at half. Play action. Plenty of time for Rodgers. Harvey on the move. And Rodgers throws it away.
And the reason he had nowhere to go, because I believe it was Donald Lee and Donald Driver running into each other at the top. Right there, you can see the contact. And they basically cover themselves. At that point, Aaron Rodgers had to go away from them, looks to the other side, nothing, nowhere to go.
Second and goal. Nelson sets up in return motion. Grant turning, fighting his way down to the 5-yard line. Tackled by Darryl Smith, a pickup of 5.
Now this is the position, if you're the Jaguars, you don't want to be in. Third down with Aaron Rodgers today. It's almost automatic. And then you add on that on top of the red zone efficiency that he has.
30-second timeout.
It's you have to feel pretty good if you're a Packer fan.
Timeout called by Jacksonville. Both teams now with 2 timeouts Don't forget the Visa halftime report coming up. All the guys in the studio with the last second scores, highlights, and the Fox Sports ticker. Did I see Howie Long dancing? He was like doing a real ugly-looking Cabbage Patch.
Yeah, I saw him to start, and I just turned away. I couldn't. I mean, it was more than I could bear at that point. You know, you talk about Aaron Rodgers' efficiency in the red zone and on third down, and that's really where quarterbacks are made. I mean, Ron, think of the good ones. They make it happen. And he's 6 for 6. I mean, that's about perfect. It is perfect.
On third down,
but
right.
That's when the great ones do. I mean, when it's the toughest, when it's the most important,
right.
They seem to make the plays. I'm not saying he's a great one yet. Don't get me wrong, but he's doing things that good quarterbacks do.
Now they can't even get lined up. 3rd and goal. Burning a lot of time here. Play clock running low. They get it off. Check down. That's the Donald Lee, and you know that play is doomed from the start because they couldn't get everyone lined up right.
And that is unexcusable. Unexcusable coming out of a timeout, and that's why Mike McCarthy is so frustrated to not know what everyone's supposed to do. And there is definite confusion. I can't believe that was the play that they decided on after the timeout to hook it up 5 yards short of the end zone to Donald Lee.
And I tell you, I know you want to conserve your timeouts and all that, but do you call timeout in that situation if you're Aaron Rodgers to get it worked out?
Yeah, you might as well.
You've got 2 left, you know.
We had 1 left because he burned the one. You might as well use it. You might as well use it at this point. You can see all the receivers trying to figure out. Greg Jennings yelling, saying, "Get over here to the young guy, Jermichael Finley." And then after that, it was all out of sorts.
Yeah, and I say that because at the time he had 2 left, but oh well.
Yeah, I mean, it's too critical a point of the field not to do something.
Crosby 23 yards out. That's an easy one, so Green Bay at least comes away with points. They go up 13-7, and McCarthy's still hot about that whole deal, and I don't blame him.
Well, that's why you call timeout. That's why you call timeout in that situation, to make sure everyone knows exactly what they're supposed to do. And he's giving Mr. Finley an earful.
That's that head coach to rookie talk, you know.
That probably needs to be edited.
There's a look at the playoff picture in the NFC. Of course, the Giants have won the division. Carolina, along with Minnesota, Arizona, a division winner. The wild card, Tampa Bay, Dallas, with all the infighting we've talked about, you've seen on the pregame, they're still hanging in there as a wild card.
And you said at the beginning, Green Bay's only in for the division. The only way they can get the playoff is if they win the division. They are not in the wild card hunt, though. Still in the playoff hunt, but not in the wild card.
Their record is so low that their only shot is to go ahead and win out in the division. Green Bay now scoring 13 unanswered points, and a huge kick there by Crosby. Witherspoon says, "I'll sit on this one, take it at the 20." 16th touchback of the year for Crosby. The Packers warming up, thawing out a little bit. Pretty much a 65-degree temperature swing from last week up in Green Bay when they took on the Houston Texans. Game time temperature was anywhere from 4 to 6 degrees. There's a discrepancy there.
Does it really matter?
There's a huge fight about that.
Does it really matter at that point? That's just cold.
But Houston sure didn't play like it, getting away with the last-second win on a field goal. Garrard 1st and 10, pressure. First pressure we've seen all day from the Packers. And there's a completion to Jones-Drew.
And Ron, the only reason there was pressure is because it was a screen. They let him go.
Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's bad.
They said, "Go ahead. We'll let you go." Now, enough guys realized, they said, "Something's wrong. We haven't got pressure all day. I got to stop." And they did a good job of stopping the screen.
I'll tell you what they've done a good job of, Tony, is stopping that guy and stopping the run. I'm sure looking at Green Bay's rush totals, coming in ranked 27th in the NFL, giving up 4.8 yards a crack rushing. They thought that they could run the ball against Green Bay, but it hasn't happened like that. And there's a look at Bob Sanders, the Packers defensive coordinator.
Ron, those last 2 plays, I have a problem with for the Jaguars to call those 2 plays. You use your timeouts to stop the clock so you can get it back when Green Bay's getting ready to score. So then you get down there, you're on the 20, and you run a screenplay when this team hasn't been able to rush you all day. That's not the call.
Good point.
The screen or the draw is a good play when you're getting pressure, when you have to slow down that front. Right there, you drop back and pass. I mean, your quarterback's playing well. I don't care what's happened the rest of the year. Make a play, and you're 4-9. 4-9. Try to be aggressive.
Green Bay calls timeout. They have one left, 3rd and 8. In and out of the hands of the tight end, Mercedes Lewis. I believe that's the first go-to to Lewis today, and he can't hold on. That'll bring up 4th down. And Green Bay now, Tony, I got to back up on your point. Now Green Bay will get the ball back.
Yeah, if that was your game plan to come out like that, then don't use your timeouts when Green Bay's getting ready to score. Because now they're going to have another chance with the way Aaron Rodgers has been playing.
And look at this, a little trickeration formation here by Jacksonville. Really did nothing. The punt goes off clean. Fair catch clean by Will Blackman. Well, September 24th, 1995, the first meeting between Green Bay and Jacksonville. Brett Favre, touchdown pass to Dorsey Levens. Packers with the quick 17-0 lead at half. Second half, Mark Brunell, you were on the field,
Yeah,
man.
I was there. That was my first NFL game ever because I had scoped my knee in the preseason. Played that game and played against Sean Jones out there. Reggie White was on the other side. I was glad he was on the other side of the field that night. And it was a good night for me because it was the first game, but we were not able to get the victory against Brett Favre and the Packers.
Brunell, 2 touchdown passes, but the rally wasn't enough. Green Bay with the win in that game, 24-14. Pump fake, no place to go with it. Sack. Reggie Hayward. That's 3.5 on the year for Hayward.
And he's working against Tony Mall, who's in for Tauscher, who's out with the ACL injury, and Reggie Hayward doing a good job of working against the backup and finally getting to Aaron Rodgers before the ball's gone. Aaron Rodgers has always done a good job of getting the ball out on time. As a defensive lineman, that can get frustrated. So at least going into the halftime, you got, something to build on. Reggie Hayward getting home and making something happen.
That's halftime. Green Bay up 13-7. Don't forget the Visa halftime report with Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy. We'll have all the scores and highlights. That's coming your way right here on Fox. Ron Pitts, Tony Baselli, Carissa Thompson here in Jacksonville. We are at halftime, about to start the 3rd quarter. Green Bay up 13-7. Let's take a look at the first half numbers.
And you can see that the pass yards per play for the Packers is 9.2. Very impressive. Not bad by the Jaguars. They started strong, kind of tailed off at the end.
Yeah.
Look at the pressure, though. I think that's the biggest. Only 1 quarterback sack given up by the Packers. But, Ron, how about this? Green Bay only has 1 pressure on David Garrard. Jacksonville only 3 on Aaron Rodgers. And a half of football at this level, that means both defensive lines are doing nothing. The coordinators might want to start blitzing to try to affect those numbers.
So Jacksonville kicks it away. This is Blackman. He had a 99-yarder for a touchdown last week. That was called back. Doesn't quite get out to the 20-yard line. Ron Pitts, Tony Baselli, and Tony, let's talk about what happened there in that last series for Jacksonville. They started out hot and then seemed to shut it down.
Yeah, we talked about the open that the pass game was inept. That's what Jack Del Rio said. Well, they came out and proved them wrong. They looked good, but at the end, really never got in a rhythm. And I didn't like the play calling after they used timeouts to get the ball back. They have a screen. We talked about there's no pass rush. You can't run a screen if the other team's not rushing the passer, and then an inside draw. No real rhythm, nothing going in the passing game after in the second quarter.
Rodgers looking deep. Should have been intercepted in and out of the hands of Brian Williams, intended for Greg Jennings. Let's go down to Carissa Thompson.
Well, guys, catching up with both coaches at halftime for Coach Del Rio, as you might imagine, it's all about getting pressure on Aaron Rodgers. He said he liked the game plan that they had headed in. They've just done a poor job of executing it. Offensively, they have to be more aggressive. For Coach McCarthy, on the other hand, you guys, he was so adamant about a communication breakdown. We saw that right before the half with Finley. He said a headset actually broke. It's all about communication on the Packers side.
All right, Carissa, thank you very much. 2nd and 10 after the almost interception. They go back to the ground game and go back to Ryan Grant. A pickup of 5.
And you talk about what Carissa talked about, Jack Del Rio liking the game plan. They didn't execute it. Well, if that's the case, you need to get a new game plan. Because, but he had one thing right. You need to pressure the quarterback, and they're not doing it. You know, Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator, is known for blitzing and everything else. He's changed a little bit because that's not really how Jack Del Rio likes to play. I think they need to open it up and try to get after him. And I think the only way they can do that, excuse me, is with the blitz.
3rd down and 5. Driver in motion. They're just set up on the other side. Plenty of time for Rodgers. Driver across the middle of the field, and a Packer 1st down. Brian Williams on the coverage, not much of a coverage, and if I'm Driver, I'm smiling too.
Well, that's what happens. You know, Donald Driver started on the other side of the field and runs a drag route, and if you're the corner, Brian Williams, you only can chase him for so long. He's going to run away from you, no pressure. Look at how Aaron Rodgers can look around, take his time, and then you can see the separation. Tough. They're putting their corners and their secondary in a tough spot with the lack of pressure, and that's on both teams. Both teams are doing the same thing in that area.
Rodgers continues to be absurd on 3rd down. Now 8 for 8 on 3rd down. He's already got a touchdown in a 3rd down situation. He'll take off and run it now and gets just across the 40-yard line, clipped at the last second there by Darryl Smith.
When you talk how absurd his 3rd down numbers are, Ron, it's like 7 on 7 out there. I mean, and what that is for the viewer, a 7 on 7 is when you have no offense and defensive line. It's just pass scale. You work on your routes and everything. And usually the offense does a much better job because there's no rush.
Right.
And so as you play corner, you know, probably had to hate that, Joe. You're running around chasing guys, there's no rush. And you say, oh, it'll be different in the game. Well, today it's not different. It is 7 on 7 right now for Aaron Rodgers with all the time he has.
Pickup of 6, 2nd and 4. The handoff to Grant. And a quick tackle in the backfield there by Clint Ingram. That's a loss of 4.
Clint Ingram right here, they bring him up on the line of scrimmage. It's a run blitz. And he does a good job of just, you know, readjusting, knowing that it's not passed. Got on a new path and got the tackle for a loss. But now if you're the Jags, bad news. 3rd down. You have yet to stop Aaron Rodgers in this area from completing the ball.
3rd down and 8. Five-man push, can't get there, does it the last second, and there's a sack on Rodgers. Quentin Groves, that's the 2nd round pick out of Auburn, now with 2.5 sacks on the season.
Now he went in on a little dance and a little celebration, but what he needs to do after getting that sack, run down and chase every one of the secondary guys because Aaron Rodgers sat back there all day again.
Yeah.
But look at the coverage, nowhere to go. Great job that time by the Jaguars secondary. Big 3rd down, getting the stop. I always laughed when those D linemen would celebrate after a play like that. It was a coverage sack. So those guys in the back end should celebrate.
Jeremy Capanos, just brought in last week, punts it away. Fair catch called by Witherspoon. 13-7 Green Bay. Ron Pitts, Tony Baselli, Carissa Thompson back here in Jacksonville. Tony, your son came in the booth at halftime and gave me some very useful insight on the Jaguars. He said they play a lot better in the first half than they do the second half, and I just looked at him like, thanks.
Well,
I wrote it down.
He goes every home game, and they're sitting in the back still, and he just yelled at me. He said, hey, Dad, let him know that Green Bay's better on 3rd down than the Jaguars, and that's a big difference in the game right now. And I said, hey, maybe you should come up here and do this job. You're his favorite. You host one of his favorite TV shows. He loves you. He likes you better than me.
I'll take all the love I can get. 1st and 10. Play action, Garrard falls down, lets it go anyway. And that probably was a good play considering what happened in the backfield.
But Ron, if he's in the pocket, they might talk about intentional grounding. Now
there's a man in the area.
There was a man in the area.
You're right. That's a gray area.
That's just something that you have to pay attention to. Now he's fortunate he had his thoughts about him where he could look around and find just to get it in the area of somebody. But you just can't, even if you fall down and you're in the pocket, you just can't throw it away wherever you want. You have to make sure there's somebody in the area.
All right.
Second down and 10. Campman, long throw, looking for Northcutt, and he's got him. And it's a clean catch. Tramon Williams on the coverage.
You talked about Aaron Campman almost getting there. He's working against Tony Pashos. Pashos getting that last little shove just to push him by. Good job. And then Dennis Northcutt running by Tramon Williams. And that's one of the first times the Jaguars have gone deep all year. We talked about it early. I think they're more explosive now with Dennis Northcutt in there and Mike Walker and Reggie Williams than they were with Jerry Porter and Matt Jones.
You see Tramon Williams take that last little peek back at the quarterback, and that cost him. Inside pressure, Chiller can't make the sack. And a nice job secondary. Charles Woodson finally chases him down from the strong safety spot.
Ron, you talked about the blitz. Brandon Chiller is right here, and him and A.J. Hawk are going to be on an X stunt. Brandon Chiller does a good job of getting there, but can't finish. You can see the strength of David Garrard as he shakes away from the tackle. But at this point, he needs to be a little bit more aware where he is. No reason to take a loss of yardage there. Either throw it out of bounds, and he had Maurice Jones-Drew right there in front of him, or he could have dumped it.
Quick throw outside, wide open. Another shot to a tight end. That's Greg Estandia. It looks as though Estandia has a first down, but there is a penalty flag down as well.
Personal foul, clipping, offense, number 62. 15-yard penalty, replay, second down.
That's the right guard, Dennis Norman. That wipes out a nice gain.
Yeah, another costly penalty after a good play, something the Jaguars have had quite a bit. Watch the left of the screen, and yeah, clearly that's a clip. I mean, that's on the back of his knees, and it's low at the same. I mean, obviously it's low. It's on the back of his knees, and you just can't make that block. I mean, that's an unsafe play. I mean, that's how guys get hurt.
That block thrown on the linebacker, Brady Papenga. Look at Garrard.
And a lot of those numbers have come in the second half.
Now it was just impossible down and distance. At least for the Jaguars offense this year. 2nd and 21. That one's a skipper. That'll bring up third down, intended for Reggie Williams.
And that's the first time today we've seen David Garrard miss somebody open. For the most part, he's been pretty accurate today. He one-hopped it there, never really set his feet in the pocket, and made, that's a pretty easy throw that he needs to make.
So that'll bring up a third down now for Garrard and the Jaguars. Garrard started off hot, and that was a nice changeup from the way the season has gone. They misfired on their opening series the last 3 games, but today they got it going. A long drive, and they started off with a quick 7 points. Safety blitz, there's Woodson. Garrard avoids, now no one to throw the ball to. A late check down, and that'll bring up fourth down, well short of the first down as he gets to Maurice Jones-Drew. But nice pressure there on the outside blitz, safety blitz by Charles Woodson.
Yeah, Charles Woodson's right here behind Brandon Chiller, and they're going to bring both guys off the corner. Maurice Jones-Drew does the right thing. You pick up the inside blitzer, always leaving Charles Woodson free. And at that point, now the hard work for Charles Woodson. You got David Garrard in the open field, tough guy to bring down.
Packers had a punt faked on him last week. There's a collision as Blackman lets it roll into the end zone. He knocked the man off that was trying to go get the ball to touch it down. And it'll be Green Bay ball when we come back. Jacksonville, they went up 7-0 early in the first quarter. Then Green Bay, 3 unanswered scores. And it's been like that ever since. Packer ball on the 20-yard line. Screen. Myers not going to be able to hold on, trying to catch up to Ryan Grant, but Grant just a little bit too fast, and that's a Packer first down. A quick look at the game within the game.
Yeah, every week we try to look at a matchup inside that is going to play big and determine this game. Today we're looking at Derek Harvey going against Chad Clifton mainly. You can see him moving around. You can see the athletic ability he has, why they picked him. But besides that, he's really struggled today. I mean, he has gotten locked down. He has not gotten near the quarterback at all. Not really much of a factor in the run game either.
Grant trying that right side. Not a lot. Maybe two.
And it's one of the things that I think is frustrating this year for the Jaguars. They traded up to get him. It was one of the things they said they needed is somebody who could rush the passer, affect the quarterback. And they traded up, gave up a lot to get him. He had the long holdout, sits out, finally reports just before the last preseason game, but it's really never been a factor. He's starting to play a little bit better, but today against a good left tackle, he's getting locked up.
2nd down and 8. They switch it up. They'll give to Brandon Jackson, and Jackson with a nice run. You know, I was talking to Edgar Bennett, the Packers running back coach, before the game, and he was really high on Brandon Jackson. Yeah, Ryan Grant is your starter, he said, but Brandon Jackson is a guy that I want to see get more touches, get more involved in the game. He just makes us stronger, he said.
I'm a little surprised that Mike McCarthy hasn't gone to the two-back system a little bit more. It's so popular. You see so many teams doing it now. In Carolina, you see it with Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. In Tennessee, you got Chris Johnson, Lendell White. I'm surprised they don't do that here. You got the Giants with 3 guys. Brandon Jacobs out this week. They got a bunch of guys up there. I'm surprised you don't see more of it here in Green Bay with Brandon Jackson.
Short yardage. Rodgers goes ahead, calls his own number, and gets it done.
I mean, the wear and tear the backs take and how violent and physical, you need 2 guys. I know here in Jacksonville for a long time, that's what they've done with Fred Taylor and Maurice Jones-Drew. Now, the question is what happens to Fred Taylor? Will he be back? Because Maurice Jones-Drew is going to be the featured guy. But with 2 guys like a Ryan Grant and a Brandon Jackson, 2 guys who are good football players, I'd like to see him rotate a little bit more and get Jackson on the field.
Jackson takes a breather. Grant comes back in. Play action to out. And that's caught. That's Jordy Nelson. And Jordy Nelson, the rookie out of Kansas State, 2nd-round pick, has really become somewhat of a hero there in Green Bay.
Well, it's someone you said you really like watching film. You like how he caught the ball and how he moved around and thought he would be somebody who has a bright future. I mean, you talk about a team that's loaded at one position. It's wide receiver. You got Donald Driver and Greg Jennings, great players. You got a guy like James Jones, a guy coming in his own. Then they add Jordy Nelson. I mean, a lot of talent at that position.
2 touchdowns. Doesn't get a lot of playing time, but he does figure a lot in that 3rd down package. And he's made some big plays. The give inside to Grant. He'll be about a yard shy of the 1st down.
Well, they're shorter. They're shorter now than they were. It was 2nd in the short one. Now it's going to be 2nd in the long one. And you can look at some of the leaders for the Packers. I think the guy that stands out, this guy right here, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, what a day so far he's had. Over 100 quarterback rating again. Now they'll be curious to see if he gets a positive grade this week. Last week from his quarterback coach, he got a minus after 104 quarterback rating, but I don't see too many negatives today out of Aaron Rodgers.
That came from Tom Clemens, his quarterback's coach. In spite of having a huge rating, you don't get the W, missed a couple things. He gave him the minus. 3rd and 2. Going up top. Had Jennings. Jennings had a step. Maybe Rodgers felt the pressure. Brian Williams on the coverage.
Well, Greg Williams, defensive coordinator, realized here's Clint Ingram. He's going to be the one coming off the corner, applying the pressure. He runs right over or right through Brandon Jackson into the back of Aaron Rodgers. And Greg Williams realizing his front 4 can't get there right now. And you cannot let a guy as good as Aaron Rodgers sit back there. So you bring the house, bring pressure. And a guy was open, but he couldn't get it to him because of the pressure.
Capano struggled early in Green Bay last week, got it together later on. A marker is down at about the 50-yard line. Stop the music. Stay here and see what's going on. And the penalties have killed Green Bay this year.
It really hurt both teams. We saw that both teams are
right.
the worst at getting holding penalties called on them. Green Bay's the worst. Jacksonville. And you know Jack Del Rio's not happy about that. Second worst.
During the kick, holding, defense, number 97. Half the distance to the goal line. Green Bay, Jacksonville keeps the ball. First down.
So Packer fans are like, finally, against the other team. That one going against Jacksonville. They'll back up 13-7, Green Bay.
Okay. So
13 unanswered points now for Green Bay. And Tony, I teed you up on that earlier. We're going to talk about it throughout the rest of the game. And Jacksonville needs to get back to what they started doing on that first drive. We haven't seen that since.
Well, they can't run the ball, and that's the biggest thing, and they can't run against a Packer defense that struggles to stop the run.
And now here you go with some of this. Tony Pashos, the right tackle. He moves early.
False start. Offense, number 79. Half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
When we talk about the keys, and I think this is the big one. You ask why are they struggling? Well, they've never got this run game going. Only 2.8 yards a game. He averages 4.3. And we watched on film the Packers, as I said a second ago, struggle to stop the run. Steve Slayton for the Houston Texans rushed for 120 yards, and there were gaping holes. None of that today for the Jaguars.
Backed up after the penalty. Drew almost broke through that one. And a nice tackle in the hole there by the corner. Tremont Williams, but a good pickup, 8 yards.
He almost made me eat my words because he almost went all the way. He gets out there. He definitely has the speed. He's going to go off left tackle behind Greg Estandia and Mercedes Lewis. And I think if Estandia kind of peels out and gets and seals the outside, there would have been a lot more green grass to go. But that's really the first time I've seen anything that makes you think they can run the ball.
2nd and 5. Pass, caught, Lewis with his first catch of the day. Let's go out to the studio in Los Angeles for this update.
Atlanta and Tampa Bay, Falcons trying to open it up. Matt Ryan hooks up with tight end Jason Rader for what they called a 26-yard touchdown, but on a replay challenge, it was overturned, determined he fumbled in the end zone, so it's a touchback, and Tampa Bay ball. Still Falcons up by 3 in the third. Ron and Tony?
What do they say, Tony? Good old Southern fried matchup. Is that right? NFC South style.
And they're both right there in the hunt for the playoffs, fighting for that wild card. Carolina leading that division.
3rd and 1. And that's a first down, Jacksonville. No flags down. They'll move the chains.
You talk about having 4 tight ends up. Boy, they're working the tight ends.
They are working them.
I mean, these guys are going to have to get in the cold tub afterwards because they've been going to them all day long. The favorite targets. And they're going to challenge the spot. Jacksonville tried to hurry up and get up on the ball, but Mike McCarthy too smart for that. A wily old cat threw that red flag out first.
Now, McCarthy has challenged once today, and he's won that challenge. If he should challenge this one.
The Green Bay coaching staff is challenging the one on the field of a completed catch.
If he wins this one, it's the 3-for-2 rule. If you're good on your first 2, he'll get an extra one. We'll be back to find out.
And Ron, you can see now 1 knee equals 2 feet, but watch right here. That ball is going to squirt out and come loose. You have to control it through the catch.
Yeah, past the ground, as they say. Yeah, that's right.
And he never controls it right there. The ball is out. Now, the official right here is the one who makes the call, but he's shielded from the back of Greg Estandia, and so he does a good job of acting. But guess who's right there on that sideline? Mike McCarthy. He says, no, not so fast, son. I caught that. You might be able to trick the officials and hide the ball, but clearly out. I think another good challenge by Mike McCarthy.
After reviewing the play, it is an incomplete pass. The receiver lost control of the football when he went down of bounds. It will be 4th down on the 15-yard line. Green Bay will not be charged a timeout.
And that'll bring on the punting unit for Jacksonville. McCarthy sharp today with his challenges.
For another challenge.
And I don't know if you could hear it there. Jerome Boger just explained it. Because he's been right on his first two, now Green Bay has been awarded another challenge.
Another key drop by the Jacksonville receivers. We saw Dennis Northcutt in the first half, and now Greg Estandi on a big 3rd down.
Weatherford. That one nearly blocked, but a huge punt by Weatherford. Blackman gets underneath it, takes it at the 30, looking to dance. Almost broke that one. One man away from a really nice return. Pearson Prelu hustles down for the tackle. Good call, Coach. Good call. Mike McCarthy good on both challenges today. He's been awarded another challenge. And you know, he talked to us this week about last week, just the frustration. I think it all came to a head after that final field goal made by Houston. He threw off the headset.
Yeah, but Mom called him. Mom said, whoa, 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 you can't do that. He said his mom's always watching him and getting on him if he uses any language she doesn't like or he throws something like that. She didn't like it.
Play action, going deep. The double dip looking for Jennings. And Jennings put a great move on the corner, but they couldn't make it work. Well, this January, Fox once again brings you the greatest week in college football, beginning on New Year's Day with the FedEx Orange Bowl, the AT&T Cotton Bowl, the Allstate Sugar Bowl, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, and finally, the FedEx BCS National Championship game. It's the FedEx Orange Bowl bash right here on Fox. January 1st in high definition.
After a quick start, the Green Bay Packers, maybe the Jaguars have figured them out a little bit.
Lavelle Martin with a nice move and very close to a 1st down. Dipped inside, caught it, avoids a tackler. That was Drayton Florence, and about a yard shy of the 1st.
And I think, you know, you look at the last 3 possessions, I think they have to continue that, to continue winning on defense. I think they have to blitz. They have to get after. They have to be aggressive. We saw it even last drive on rundowns or blitzing Clint Ingram off the edge. And I think you have to keep that mentality if you're Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator.
3rd down and a long one. Grant takes a hit, but bounces off the hit, lunges forward, and he's got a Packer 1st down.
Now that was some good running after contact.
Yes, it was.
A good job by Ryan Grant. Contact behind the line of scrimmage, but keeps his feet moving and spins for the 1st down.
So the Packers set up at the 47-yard line. Grant alone in the backfield. Got the tight end there with him. The toss, the cutback, Grant running through some tacklers now. And a nice run on 1st down. He'll be about 2 yards shy of the 1st.
And we talked about the Jaguars doing it either. Watch Donald Lee seal down, and Chad Clifton's going to get outside. And they're going to pull offensive linemen, and they get leverage against that Jacksonville defense. A very well executed play.
Nice block inside there.
Darryl Smith tries to come up and make the play.
And Darryl Smith is a man shaken up on the field. He was scraping inside and just kind of got washed out.
Yeah, Jermichael Finley, the rookie who was getting screamed at by Mike McCarthy, said, I better do something positive because it might be a long film day tomorrow. He was another guy out there lead blocking for Ryan Grant and was the one responsible for getting on Darryl Smith and washing him out of the play. So at least the rookie, you know, something positive can happen after he, you know, caused the confusion and was the focus of the head coach, and he found a way to maybe make up for a little bit by a nice block.
Well, this February, the world's best drivers return to Fox to drop the flag on another intense and thrilling season of NASCAR with the 51st running of the Great American Race. Fox Sports is the exclusive home of the Daytona 500. And it all starts this February in high definition right here on Fox.
I went to the last.
Yeah, you
my
did.
wife.
Yeah.
I need to get you to fly out here. Bring the wife out. We'll go down to a little NASCAR.
Not that I don't love NASCAR, but I'm not taking that flight again. Or if I don't have to. That's Grant.
It's the Super Bowl of NASCAR. It's a big event. It's a lot of fun.
I understand all that.
Nice little getaway. We can enjoy a little racing, some left turns.
Will you feed me? I know you're stingy with the food at the Pacelli house.
We'll take care of you.
You'll send me down the street. Ron, there's a nice restaurant down the street here. Jack, they do great.
Nice little bed and breakfast.
We got no room for you here at the house. 3rd and short. Grant straight ahead. He spun. An initial hit there by Justin Durant. Let's see how they mark it. Looked as though he was able to spin forward and get just enough for the first.
I think
Let's wait and see.
It's going to depend on the spot. Mike McCarthy trying to get a good view of right where they spotted it. They're going to have to come out. They're going to bring the measures in, and we'll see exactly if they just short, if they just got it.
Well, either way, Tony, that's the last play of the 3rd quarter. 13 unanswered points here, Green Bay.
Now they needed to get to the 43-yard line, and I don't know if the nose of the ball is quite there. I think they're going to come up just short, Ron.
Yep. So that's the end of the 3rd quarter. We'll be back in the 4th quarter to find out if the Pack can pick up that first down. Fox NFL Sunday continues after these messages from your local Fox station. So the Pack going for it on 4th down. You see their 4th down number right there. But they're on the other side of the 50. They're 5-8. They got to win.
And your defense is shut down. An Jacksonville offense that has done nothing since the first drive of the game. I think it's the right call. Even if you were 8-5, I think this is the right call, the way your defense has shut down Jacksonville after the first drive.
They give to the fullback, and I don't know if they got it. That's Kuhn, who's filling in for the injured Corey Hall. He went backwards.
Yeah, he didn't.
And it's Jacksonville's ball.
That was a great surge from the defensive line. They get lower. Low man always wins. And on top of that, I never liked that play. I don't like on a 4th and 1 just turning and handing it off to your fullback. He has not run the ball all day. Why do you give the ball to him?
Right.
I think you either give it to Brandon Jackson or Ryan Grant, guys who've handled it, guys who run the ball for the majority of the game, not a guy who has yet to do it all day on an important down and distance. And on top of that, your offensive line gets whipped at the point of 10.
So a takeover on downs. The Jaguars will take over at about the 44-yard line. Gerard looking for a big play. Going inside, and they scream holding on Papinga, and they might get it. Mercedes Lewis, the tight end, trying to get off the line, and immediately he turned and looked at the official, and out came the flag.
Pass interference, defense, number 51. Automatic, first down.
And Papinga has been in that territory before. A couple years ago, he'd struggled in pass coverage. He reran an old tape there. Let's go down. Let's go back to that 4th down play.
Watch the pad level of the defensive line for the Jaguars. Look at where the line is, and they submarine right there, and then Mike Peterson and everybody else.
Close.
Look at that guy right there, Rob Meyer. He was a defensive tackle. He was 1.5 yards deep in the backfield of the Green Bay Packers.
Gerard to pass again. Plenty of time. Going deep. Well covered by Harris. Intended for Troy Williamson. And Green Bay with that last penalty. Pass interference 10. That's the most in the NFL. And look at the NFC wildcard picture, Tony.
Well, this game's huge, Ron, for Green Bay. They got to win. I mean, that's why I think you go for it. You got to take some chances because as we talked about, the puzzle for the Green Bay Packers, what do they need to do to get in? They have to win every game. And then they need a lot of help. They need everybody else in their division. Speaking of the Vikings and the Bears, to lose every game.
2nd and 10. Jacksonville content throwing the ball, and a huge sack on the middle linebacker. Blitz A.J. Hawk.
And it's a blitz they did early as well. Watch Brandon Chiller. It's the cross again, but this time A.J. Hawk's the guy that's going to go second, and he delays and then comes in late. And it's like a running back hitting a hole. Watch the hole open up.
Oh,
and there's nobody there except for David Garrard waiting.
Tony, Jacksonville has not tried to run the ball since taking over here.
Well, they've struggled. They've struggled to run the ball. We said we had the one nice run there when they were backed up. Besides that, they haven't done anything.
3rd and 18, and Garrard continues to hold it. A nice catch, getting a lot of that yardage back after the sack by A.J. Hawk. That's Dennis Northcutt. And Northcutt is going to end up about a yard shy of the first.
And Jack Del Rio is going to go for it right here. The time of the game, the score, and everything else on the 32-yard line. This is definitely where he needs to go for it. I think it's a good call.
A loss of 8 on the sack. They pick up 17, end up about a yard shy on 4th down. And in spite of what's happened, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Tony, are still in this game, and this could be the defining moment. So the Jaguars going for it here on 4th down. 21 4th down attempts. That's the most in the NFL.
Jack Del Rio is a very aggressive coach. Always has been since the day he got here.
Empty backfield for Garrard. He'll do it himself. You knew that was coming. So the man that comes into this game, first in the NFL in 3rd down and short rushing, he says, I'll take this into my own hands and feet on 4th down.
Ron, only the 2nd running play called in the 2nd half. I mean, 2 rushing plays, 10 pass. I mean, that's not the play selection that the Jacksonville Jaguars need to win this football game. And when we talked about it and talking before the game to coaches, they thought Maurice Jones-Drew would be a big part of the running game. Has not been the case today.
So a big play for Jacksonville. They convert the 4th down, and a quick throw outside to Mercedes Lewis. Papinga on the coverage. In spite of Green Bay's 13 unanswered points, we're still looking at only a 13-7 game. Jacksonville, of course, very much in this game.
Yeah, and besides, I mean, if you look at the game and the Packers' numbers offensively, they look good except for one play. They're not scoring. I mean, Aaron Rodgers having a nice game, so hats off to this Jaguar defense for allowing this offense to sputter around for the Jaguars and still be in it here in the 4th quarter. A touchdown here, they take the lead with a successful extra point.
But it's clear that Jacksonville, Tony, they don't want to try to run it right now unless it's a quarterback draw. There's a completion to Reggie Williams.
And I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, they felt like they could get the inside zone going this week. They felt like they liked their matchup between their inside 3 against the defensive tackles of the Green Bay Packers. They struggled early, and since struggling, they've gotten away from it. I have a tendency to think you have to get your best player involved, and your best player is Maurice Jones-Drew, and right now he is not involved in this game.
But he is in the game. He lines up at the tailback spot. Reister in motion. He picks up the blitz, buys time for Garrard, and a completion. And a 1st down, Jacksonville. Williams again. Williams working on Tremont Williams. 6 yards and another Jaguar first.
Hats off to Maurice Jones-Drew, lined up right here. He's going to come up and do a good job of picking up Brady Papinga on the blitz, giving David Garrard the time. And listen, I mean, it's working. I would have never thought the matchups they would be winning would be outside against these corners, which is a strength of the Packers, but that's what they're doing right now.
Jacksonville's first trip into the red zone today. 2 tight end set. Pressure. Gets it away, and it's incomplete, intended for Jones-Drew. Aaron Campman with the pressure.
We haven't seen a lot of this today, but Aaron Campman, number 74, working against Tony Pashos. A good move, kind of a takeaway move, gives him his chest, takes it away, and slaps the hands, and gets around the corner, gets the pressure. But again, the strength of David Garrard, able to hang in there, not go down, and still almost completes the ball to Maurice Jones-Drew.
The throw inside, it's caught, touchdown Jacksonville. Maurice Jones-Drew for his 12th touchdown, 13th touchdown of the year.
Well, if you're not going to get him involved by handing it off to him, you might as well throw it to him. Maybe they feel like, hey, this Green Bay Packer team can't rush the passer. We're going to just sit back here and take our chances. They finally got the matchup they really like. Maurice Jones-Drew on one of the linebackers gets the ball, and then the rest is him. I told you, you can't go high on him. They tried to tackle him high, ran right through it for a touchdown.
And we talked about letting Jacksonville hang around. Green Bay went from being in control of this thing, but the score was never out of control, and now Jacksonville goes up by 1 with 10:39 here in the fourth quarter. Maurice Jones-Drew with his 13th touchdown of the season, and the first score for the Jaguars today since the 8:03 mark of the first quarter.
And this guy right here is a special player. I mean, he can do it all out of the backfield, catching the ball, running as well. And he will be the featured guy next year for this Jacksonville Jaguar team.
Oh, I love to hear you talk good about Bruins.
It pains me. I gotta tell you,
so hurtful.
bad.
Jordy Nelson. Nelson with some nice moves. And Nelson gets back up past the 25-yard line out to the 27. So the Jaguars hang in there. Jones-Drew putting the Jacksonville Jaguars up by 1. Jones-Drew with a 14-yard touchdown catch to put the Jaguars up by 1, and came into today's game leading all NFL running backs in receiving yards and showing why there.
Not enough touches, only 12 touches though. I think they wanted to give him 25 plus today. It hasn't happened for whatever reason, the flow of the game. Got to get him involved though, and you saw why that last play.
So now the Jaguars defense has to step up. The Green Bay Packers with 10:32 here in the fourth quarter, down by 1 in a game that they have to win to stay in the playoff hunt. All kinds of pressure for Rodgers, but Rodgers does a great job of getting out of the pocket and coming up with nice yardage on first down. Let's take a moment to get to know Jaguars running back Maurice Jones-Drew.
The reason I wear number 32 is because 59 people went in front of me in the draft. 32 teams picked the other 59 in front of me. You know, it motivates me to be great and try to become one of the best players in the NFL. The reason I am Maurice Jones-Drew is because my grandfather passed away at one of my football games in college. In order to honor him, I had to put my full name on the back.
All right, Jones-Drew, 2nd down and 3, going up top, looking for Jones. Jones has it. He beat Brian Williams. So we went from Maurice Jones-Drew to James Jones, and James Jones seems to like that side of the field, Tony, and that sideline.
Well, they had single coverage out there because Greg Williams tried to bring the house. They're trying to pressure. You see Clay Ingram, Justin Durant, and Mike Peterson. All 3 linebackers come on that play and leave Brian Williams by himself. Not bad coverage, not terrible coverage, but a perfect throw right into the breadbasket. This time, James Jones, doesn't bobble.
He caught another big one in the first half on that side of the field, almost in that same spot. He's got 3 catches for over 100 yards, 120. There goes Ryan Grant. Let's go for this game break out to Los Angeles. Here's Kurt Menefee.
Look at this, guys. Detroit's Kevin Smith scores from a yard out. They had a 2-point conversion, and the Lions have come back to tie the Colts in Indy, 21 all in the fourth quarter. And I know, Ron and Tony, we say it every week, but could it really be the week?
I don't know, Kurt. There's a black cloud that travels over that team's head, and it usually hits somewhere midway through the fourth quarter.
You saw the playoff hunt there. Indianapolis can't afford to lose that one. They're in the wild card chase.
Play action. Rodgers, plenty of time, no place to throw. Finally dumps it off, and it's dropped in and out of the hands of Ryan Grant. He might have walked into the end zone.
I was going to say, he had at least 10 yards in front of him, and his receiver was down the field blocking. that would have been possibly a walk-in touchdown, but he made the cardinal sin, looking upfield before he looked it into his hands.
Tony, you gave credit to the Jaguars secondary earlier. I give it to him there. When the quarterback can run around, hold the ball that long, your secondary is not the fault.
No. I mean, he was looking around, jogging, taking his time to the sidelines, and really haven't affected him very much unless they blitz.
3rd and 3, timeout called by Green Bay.
Timeout.
8:31 here in the 4th quarter. And just so you know, as you look at Rodgers' first half, second half, almost half of his second half yardage was on that last big play to James Jones.
Yeah, they've done a good job, the Jaguars, of containing and minimizing the damage of Aaron Rodgers in the second half until that last big play that you mentioned.
3rd and short. Holding it again. Looking underneath. He'll run it. Just gets out of bounds. And they mark it as though he's got the first down. Reggie Nelson was coming to take his head off, but he picks up 4 and a Packer first. Big first down.
And we've seen quite a bit of that today. His feet have really helped him of getting out. If there is ever any pressure, he extends the play. And like, the good ones, he looks down the field. He's always looking down the field, no one there, and he knew right where the first down marker was, gets just enough and gets out of bounds before Reggie Nelson can take his head off.
1st and 10. Driver and Jennings up top. They'll go with the run. Grant. Not a lot at all. Durant is there. Pickup of 2 yards.
The Packers offense doing a good job of answering the scoring drive that the Jaguars just had. They had been in control of the game for most of the game, had the lead 13-7. Their defense playing well, Jacksonville doing nothing. And this is what good offenses do. When they need to respond, they do. They got the ball, they had the big play, and now they're knocking on the door of the red zone to try to go up and take back the lead.
2nd down and 8. Brandon Jackson at the tailback spot. That's Lee in short motion. Pressure backside. Fumble. Picked up. Tony Mall, he's trying to get busy. He goes down at about the 28-yard line, but Reggie Hayward came around the corner and Rodgers never saw him.
Yeah, Tony Mall in for Mark Tauscher right here, working against Reggie Hayward. He's just going to run the hump and beats him. Nice little move, just a hand slap against Mall, and then gets the sack.
Watch this.
And then
look at this move.
Watch the hit. Oh my goodness. Tony Mall just realized why he does not like to run the ball and get down. Helmet to the chin by Clint Ingram at the end of this play.
Rodgers has been great on 3rd down. Here we are, 3rd and 16. No pressure. Check down throw. That's Lee. And Lee gets just inside the 20-yard line, well short of the first. And Green Bay will send on their field goal unit.
You have the safety valve, Donald Lee. He's going to come in motion right here. And after there's nowhere to go, he looks to pick up the blocks, gets a little chip, and then he's the check down guy. Just helps him get in a little bit of better field goal position. And back to Reggie Hayward, taking advantage of the matchup. You have a backup in there at right tackle, Reggie Hayward, longtime veteran, good pro, taking advantage of it. 2 sacks today.
38 yards out now for Crosby. A jumper through the middle. It's drifting, but it's through. Green Bay answers. They go up by 2. And a tough year for the Packers. They've lost 5 games by 4 points or less this season. Started off with Atlanta, then Tennessee, 19-16. Week 10 against Minnesota. By 1, they can't make the field goal work. Week 13 versus Carolina. They lose 35-31. And then last week, the last-second field goal by Brown. And McCarthy takes it out on the headset. But you know, Tony, none of that matters. It's either a win or a loss. That's all anybody cares about at the end of the year.
And really, every game, or the majority of games in the NFL, really come down in the 4th quarter and are close games. Now, but the difference is usually you hope to win your fair share of those. The Packers haven't. If they can just win 2 of those, it's a whole different story right now. It's not like anybody in their division, Minnesota or Chicago, has been running away with this thing. Just winning 2 of those close games would be the difference in them hoping to get in the playoffs with a lot of help to really being in control of the situation.
Crosby kicks it away. Witherspoon, there's a low line driver. Witherspoon inside the 5. Bounces it. Thought about bouncing it. Didn't do it. Goes down at about the 20. Jared Bush hustling down for the tackle. Another look at the NFC wild card picture. As we said, Green Bay cannot get a wild card. They have to win the division to get into the playoff hunt. So they need to win out, win here, hope that Chicago and Minnesota lose their remaining games.
And the Tampa-Atlanta game, they're playing each other right now. Atlanta up 10-7. Big game in determining the wild card this year in the NFC.
1st and 10. Garrard looking to pass. Long post corner route, and they got it. Garrard to Dennis Northcutt. And they're at the Packer 40-yard line. 41 yards.
You talk about the post corner. That's a long developing pattern, and anytime you do that, you have to get great protection. Great job by that offensive line, giving them a very clean pocket. And Dennis Northcutt with the very good get off against Al Harris. Too much of a free release. Al Harris has got to get a jam on him, and that's why he's so open. It makes it an easier throw for David Garrard.
Hey, look at this, a run. Jones drew inside the 25-yard line. Now for this update, the Jets and the Bills. Let's go to Los Angeles and Kurt Menefee.
Bills up 3 just before the 2-minute warning, but J.P. Lossman coughs it up on the sack by Abram Elam. Sean Ellis scoops it up and takes it in for an 11-yard score. Jets defense puts them on top 31-27. Less than 2 minutes left to go in that one. Ron and Tony?
That might be the icer there for the Jets. The Jets on a skid in desperate need of a win. 1st and 10 after the run by Drew. They'll go back to Drew.
Dennis Northcutt is a guy who's not got a lot of time and was vaulted into the starting lineup because of Matt Jones' suspension and the groin injury of Jerry Porter. And this is the first time all year they've gone deep. This is the first time they've been able to stretch the field. And Dennis Northcutt's one of their faster receivers. You can see how well he gets off the ball, something Matt Jones struggles to do. Matt Jones is fast at top end, but has a trouble getting there. This is the most explosive this passing game's looked today. And I think a lot of that goes to Dennis Northcutt.
41-yarder to Northcutt, the team's longest pass play of the season. And they go back to Northcutt. Northcutt, before that pass, 3 catches for 123 yards. Now 4 catches, 127 yards. You know, Northcutt, really a lot of people looked at him as a special teams guy, punt returner, came in a trade. Excuse me, didn't come in a trade.
Free agent from Cleveland.
Free agent from Cleveland last year, and he was really just a special teams guy.
Well, he was brought in to be the 3rd receiver. That's what they want him to do. But a lot of people's opinion, he's the best receiver, but for whatever reason, hasn't been getting a lot of playing time. He does have the occasional drop, which we saw again today.
3rd and 4, quarterback draw. Garrard with some room. Look at David Garrard. He loses the ball and gets it back.
And Ron, this is a design quarterback draw from the start. Never a pass play. He's running from the start. You can see Uche Wanari pulling up the middle at 77 to left guard. Will Blackman does a good job of getting back in and knocking the ball out. David's got to secure it a little bit better than that. But fortunate, it bounced up right back to him. But this is the most efficient. This is like the tale of two different games. The first quarter, this is what the Jaguar offense looked like. Second, third quarter, it was inept like Jack Del Rio talked about. And all of a sudden, they've woken up in the 4th quarter and are moving the ball very well.
This is a 2-minute warning.
We're under the 2-minute warning. David Garrard taking control of things. You see his rushes, all of those rushes have been big. First and goal. Jones-Drew with the power and a touchdown. He gets his UCLA dance on, and that was Bruin on Bruin, Tony.
Yeah, don't go high on him. I mean, do we need to go down there on the sideline and say, guys, go low? This guy's only 5'7", but he's all muscle. He's like a big muscle out there running around, and you better take his wheels out, because otherwise he's going to run right through you.
His 14th touchdown of the season, his second today.
Will be reviewed with the replay assistant.
And this play is being reviewed. Jerome Boger just came on, made the announcement. I don't know if you could hear, but here's the touchdown.
You see Brandon Chiller has him right there. Well, I think the ball is clearly across the end of the goal line when his knee hits the ground.
It's where the ball is when the knee touches.
Absolutely. Not down yet. Knee down right there. All the ball has to do is just break the plane of the goal line.
Jacksonville, 6 plays, 80 yards for the touchdown if it holds up.
We're on in the first and fourth quarter of this game. This offense has looked like the offense of last year.
Right.
222 yards in the first and fourth quarter. In the second and third quarter, 84 yards. I'm not sure what the difference is or what they're doing, but I mean, we watched this team and the way they started, and you're saying, oh, okay, they got something going. And then it disappeared.
Right.
And somehow they had a talk or did something on the sidelines, or whatever they did, it worked, because now all of a sudden they got it going again in the fourth quarter.
And Tony, you've been talking about this all week. 2 guys that represent the future of this franchise right off the top of your head, David Garrard and Maurice Jones-Drew. And we've seen Maurice Jones-Drew, we've talked to him, we know what he thinks and how he feels about guys on this team not taking losing seriously. He takes losing serious. He's upset. He said, don't talk to me till Monday morning.
Oh, he doesn't want. He loses sleep. I mean, he is a guy who gets visibly upset. Doesn't want coaches to talk to him. Play. He's like, listen, leave me alone. I mean, football. You know, you talk about how football has to be important to guys if you want to be good.
Right.
It's important to him. It's important to David Garrard. I'm not saying there's not other players, but these 2 guys, which are keys to this franchise, it's really important, and that's what you're going to build on next year.
And you saw Garrard headbutting guys a few plays ago in the huddle.
After reviewing the play, the rule on the field stands. It's a touchdown.
Yeah, I think that was clear from our replay. The knee touched, but the ball had crossed the plane of the goal line. So now Jacksonville lining up for 2. Only 1 2-point attempt this year for Jacksonville, and they missed that one.
Now, even if they get 2, it only makes it a 6-point game. There's really no reason to go for 2, and it's not going to affect how the Packers play it in the 2 minutes.
Drew inside. I don't think he got it. No. But even still, Jacksonville with a healthy drive to take the lead here in the fourth quarter. And it started with the big play. Dennis Northcutt.
Something you haven't seen all year from this team. It's the big play, and after that, then you get the run game going. It's amazing what happens if you stretch the field. Now things start, guys are a little softer, and you can run the ball. You saw David Garrard on the draw, and then Maurice Jones-Drew running through the high tackle of Brandon Chiller to get the points. They go for 2. It doesn't matter. The Packers still need a touchdown to get back in the game.
And Tony, if you're
to get the lead, excuse me.
Right, and if you're a Packer fan, I got to throw this one your way, because it just begs the question. You look at Green Bay on tape and you look at their numbers. They came in ranked 11th in total offense, a +7 turnover ratio. That's a healthy turnover ratio this time of year. You can win with that. 27 points a game, that's what they average. But yet they come in with a 5-8 record. Why?
Well, the defense. They don't stop anybody. They give up a lot of yards. They struggle finishing games. And right now, the reason today is the offense isn't doing their part. They're not scoring any points.
This will be Blackman. Blackman, trouble early. I was talking to Joe DeCamillis, the Jaguars special teams coach, before the game. He said, we have got to be fast on our coverage and take early shots, and they did it. Next week on Fox, you can check out the Arizona Cardinals and the New England Patriots. And in game 2 of our Fox doubleheader, the Atlanta Falcons going up against the Minnesota Vikings. It all starts with the Ford Built Tough pregame show right here on Fox. Atlanta and Tampa Bay right now in overtime, tied at 10. So Green Bay down by 4. Slingshot nearly intercepted. Gerald Sensabaugh could have iced this one.
And that's a bad decision by Aaron Rodgers. The Jaguars are in a too deep zone. Gerald Sensabaugh is just sitting back there taking his half of the field and does a great job of making the play over the top. And Aaron Rodgers is fortunate. He's holding his head. He should hold his head. He's fortunate that thing didn't get picked and would have put an end to this game.
Tony, as a defensive back, a former defensive back, whenever you miss those, it seems like it always comes back to haunt you somewhere. Long way to go for the Packers offense. The check down and a drop. Brandon Jackson can't hold on. Green Bay must win here in order to have any kind of shot to get into the playoffs. They cannot get a wild card. They can only win the division to get to the playoffs. They need Minnesota and Chicago to lose out.
And so that means they got to go score a touchdown, down by 4. But so far this year, Green Bay 0-5 in games decided by 4 points or less. Not a good stat right now if you're the Packers.
Green Bay with 2 timeouts. 1:40 to play. Pump fake. No place to go. Crosser got it. First down, Donald Driver. Boy, in money situations, you go to your money people.
Well, they got decent pressure. First time Derek Harvey gets pressure on the quarterback, working against Darren College. This time he's in there at left tackle. Aaron Rodgers, though, keeps the play alive, moving his feet outside.
Jones stays on his feet. He's out to the 39-yard line. 1:02 and counting.
Early in the year, the Jaguars had problems giving up 2-minute drives when they had the lead. When that 3-3, the first 6 games, they gave up some good leads.
The crosser, Driver again. Driver about 2 yards shy of the first down. Remember that graphic we showed Green Bay losing games as they called timeout, losing games by 4 points or less. And Driver, I thought he was a little nicked up. Slow to roll over there, and they help him off the field. Green Bay trying to avoid another 4-point loss.
And we talked about it, getting back to the Jaguars defense, what I was explaining is early in the year when they were 3-3 in the first 6 games, a lot of those losses, 5 or 6, they had the lead at some point in the 4th quarter. And they lost a couple of those. They really struggled. The offense would do its part, but for whatever reason, the defense couldn't finish the job. And so this is an important thing right now. This is something you build on for the future. Can you stop them when you have to?
Jordy Nelson checks in now for Driver. Seam route. That one intercepted. Reggie Nelson. And that should do it. Reggie Nelson with his 2nd interception of the season, and it couldn't have come at a bigger time.
Ron, they're in a very soft cover 2 again. Look how much ground. Reggie Nelson's back here, 20 yards off the ball, just making sure nothing gets behind him. And it's just a bad throw. Overthrows him, and Reggie Nelson in the right place at the right time.
And Tony, we saw Rodgers tried to force one earlier. Sensabaugh dropped it. But you go to the well 2 times in this business, in this league, we're going to make you pay. So now the Packers with just 1 timeout left And this could be a booth review as to whether or not that ball was actually caught.
The last play will be reviewed with the replay assistant.
And that's a huge review for Green Bay.
It's huge, but from the replay, from the one look we had, it looked pretty clear. Now the only question is, as we saw for the Jaguars before with the Standi on the sidelines, didn't finish and the ground knocked it out. The ground can cause an incompletion. And so you have to finish the catch. But from that angle right there, nothing that
it's got to be conclusive to overturn it. And
where you can see the ball coming loose.
This might be a better look. Oh, no way.
No
I
way.
just don't. I don't see that. But
that ball never even budges. So I can't see for any reason at all that this ball, this call will be overturned. You see Reggie Nelson on the sidelines getting high fives and a little bit different attitude on the Packers sideline. You mentioned it, that this is for everything, and Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers hoping that they'll have a fortune of something, the replay official seeing something, but I don't think it's going to happen because, as you mentioned, if they didn't win out, their playoff hopes are
After reviewing the play, the rule on the field stands. It is an interception. Jacksonville ball, 1st and 2.
And there goes the playoffs for the Green Bay Packers.
And the 50th career victory for Jaguars head coach Jack Del Rio. Unless something amazing happens in these last 40 seconds, the Green Bay Packers, after a huge year last year, going all the way to the NFC Championship game, falling 1 game short of making it to the Super Bowl, they will be out of the playoff running here this year.
And you can see Reggie Nelson on the sidelines getting a little dance. Hey, you might as well have fun, even if you're 4-9. If you make a big play, you got to enjoy your job, have fun doing it, and see the head coaches probably talking about all the headaches they've had this year. Both teams, as we talked about from the start, been disappointing this year. Both teams had playoff hopes coming in, and it just hasn't worked out that way. Both been big disappointments.
We'll return to Jacksonville to wrap things up after these messages from your local Fox station. The final, the Jacksonville Jaguars 20 and the Green Bay Packers 16.